Silencer Central. Folks, if you want to learn something new right alongside me, check it out at silencercentral.com. I've never put a suppressor on any of my weapons, but I'm going to start now, and I'm using Silencer Central to help get me started because they walk you through the whole process, to include you can ship the rifle to them, they'll thread it, they'll put it on, and they will ship it back, and you can make payments on the whole thing while you wait for all the licensing to get approved, which they take care of for you. It's a great process, and it's a great company, American manufacturer, right there in South Dakota, and we are really excited to be partnering with them. So check it out at silencercentral.com or give them a call at 888-781-8778 and let them know that you heard it on the Western Huntsman. Hoffman Boots is my go-to boot. I love the Explorers in the 8-inch, and they've got the Vibram sole, totally waterproof, no break-in period. They just glue your feet to the mountain. You can't ask for more out of a boot, and you don't have to break the bank to get a pair. So check it out at hoffmanboots.com. Again, another American company. Local North Idaho friend of mine who runs this company decided to make some great hunting boots for all people that are serious about getting into the backcountry to chase elk and deer and bear and everything else out there. So check it out at hoffmanboots.com. Use promo code all caps lock Huntsman10 at checkout to save you 10%. Backed by popular demand, my friend, Jaden Bales. There exists a threat, from anti-hunting groups to politicians trying to give our land away, and we won't stand for it. Those vast western landscapes provide the space for our wildlife to thrive and a place for hunters and anglers to fuel the fire that sparks their soul. In this show, we share our love of hunting, fishing, and conservation. Here, we provide the foundation to meet these threats through passion and the grit of the American outdoorsman. Welcome to the Western Huntsman Podcast. All right, we're rolling. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Western Huntsman Podcast. This is Jim Huntsman, your host, coming at you from the Broken Tine Studio right here in Clark Fork, Idaho. Sorry about the hiatus, guys. I actually had 2 episodes lined up for last week, and both of those recording sessions got delayed, and so I didn't have anything to put out last week. I thought about just jumping on and talking to myself for a minute, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel right, so it gets lonely here in the Broken Tines. This week, I've got my buddy Jaden Bales. He is with the Wyoming Wildlife Federation. If I can, that's kind of a tongue twister, Jaden. Can you say that fast, like 10 times?
We just call it WWF.
WWF.
Yeah.
You guys need like a really cool theme song or something with it being WWF. But
we're gonna do it. We're gonna do a T-shirt with a pronghorn wrestling a panda here.
I like it. What's the story with the panda though?
So that's the World Wildlife Foundation or Federation.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
But we were first.
You were first.
Yeah.
Well, I always like getting you on the show, man, because you guys, you're the executive director, right?
I'm the communications director.
Communications director over at WWF, and I'm on the board over here at the Idaho Wildlife Federation, and so it's kind of cool having, our, I don't know, would you be considered our sister, cousin, or brother organization? Which one do you want to identify as?
I don't know. In northern Idaho, can I be all of the above?
Dude, you totally can. You totally can. I like your thinking.
That's funny.
Well, yeah, we're not picky. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, that's funny.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, thanks again for having me on. I really appreciate all the stuff you guys over there are in Idaho with Idaho Wildlife Federation. See, that's a tongue twister too.
Yeah,
are doing. And gosh, I think there's a lot of different wildlife federations. They all kind of have their own niche and their own things that they're all about. And I'd say Idaho and Wyoming are about the closest in the things that they work on and the things and the people that they represent. it's cool to be able to work with you guys when we can on national issues and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah,
No,
no,
I appreciate
awesome.
you having me on again.
Yeah, for sure, man. I like having you on, and I don't know if you guys, because in IWF, I don't know if you know this, but Brian is on like this 2 month sabbatical. Do you guys have that kind of opportunity over there at WWF?
No, we were just debating whether we have enough salary to afford 10-piece chicken nuggets at McDonald's today. So we're sabbatical a little further down the road.
He was supposed to come up and go turkey hunting with me a few weeks ago, but apparently I was not priority. And so, no, that's okay. Well, I want to, we got a lot to talk about today. I know. I appreciate you squeezing me in at, I normally don't do midday podcast recordings like this, so it's kind of different for me. Go ahead.
It's my pleasure. I like them, especially like this mid-afternoon time frame when we're doing them. I usually end up getting distracted anyway, so I'd rather BS with somebody and get some good ground covered in a good conversation than waste away the day on the scroll or whatever. So it's I'm down for it.
It's not a bad deal, actually. I like the morning ones because I'm like fresh and ready, and I've got my mind seems to be just working better or whatever. But I like the night ones if I'm gonna have like a whiskey or something. But the problem is sometimes I'll set up a recording and that day I'll just get my teeth kicked in at work or something, and it's just kind of bogs the mind down. But I heard you on Cody's podcast the other day with your business idea.
Oh, my hordes of business ideas. But yeah, we covered my archery range idea on his Rich Outdoors podcast.
Yeah.
I always like to, in all the free time, I like to work on side projects and kind of always keep my entrepreneurial spirit going. So yeah, we just covered that a couple weeks ago, and nothing's no movement on the archery range for Lander, Wyoming yet, but we're working on it.
Well, I liked Cody's take on a lot of that, and he's just so like insightful with that kind of stuff. He thinks things through on a deeper level. That because I thought, man, when you were describing it to him, I'm thinking, I got 26 acres here. I'm like, okay, wait a minute, that's a good idea. I could generate some extra revenue. I could set up an archery range down there. But now he's got me thinking about doing this whole. I could set up like 10 camp spots down there on my property, because we have like a lower lot, right? We're up 100 feet above it, and because you could charge more, and it'd be like an Airbnb scenario kind of thing, or just one where people bring on their own RVs. And anyway, I got all these ideas rolling, and then all of a sudden my wife shut it down. She's like, "You are not having people camp on our land." And she's worried that, like, because I do have a couple of stalkers. I don't know what the deal is with that, but there's like just weird people out there, man. And when you're kind of out there in the public, it's to like the limited extent that I am, right? I can't imagine like somebody like even Cody or like Steve Ranella or somebody, it's a weird thought. So she shut me down on that idea, dude.
That's funny. Yeah, man. You take the good with the bad when you do those kinds of projects. I think it's. I don't think there's ever one that's not going to be a pain in the butt or have its own drawbacks for sure.
Well, just keep me posted. I think that's just all the ideas you guys talked about. I think is a really good idea, and so keep me posted on that, man. I'm interested in that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, absolutely will. And, it's one of the things that as I was looking at this idea and the different ways you could, build these kind of like 3D courses for archery, there's also pretty good opportunity to like, and this kind of folds back into Wyoming Wildlife Federation, to create like some kind of outdoor skills classes and outdoor skills kind of workshops on those kinds of properties, right? When they're just being used for that kind of recreation. And that's one of the things that we do at Wyoming Wildlife Federation. And so I was like, starting to pitch it even to our executive director. Hey, look, if I get this property, we could run our kids camps on this.
You could, man. You totally could. You could do all sorts. It could be a venue for all sorts of events. You could have, like we do, and I'm actually not doing it this year. So those of you in North Idaho listening, Western Montana, sorry about this, but we're not doing the elk thing this seminar this year. just circumstantially, me and Dirk both got too busy. So anyway, but those are really cool events, and you need like a venue for them, and like an elk calling seminar, or Dan Staten does his elk shape camps. I've got a buddy, Troy Pottinger, who is doing a mountain public land whitetail boot camp, and he does them every year. And it's like the most comprehensive public land whitetail boot camp that you'll ever go to. This thing is insane. And his wife cooks this big lunch, and it's a cool event. And a place like that would be perfect for those kind of events, and you could probably generate revenue for WWF that way too.
Oh, absolutely.
Be a good way to do that. So anyway, yeah, cool, man.
Yeah. But by the way, that I just saw your post today about that whitetail boot camp, and that guy is he's taking home some giant North Idaho freaking whitetail. So I did not realize that those things are roaming around up there.
So and you know what's crazy, man, is I get them on my cameras, but they're always nocturnal. He's figured out how, because these are not, when you see those pictures, you think, oh man, he's hunting some private land and only he's got access to it, or something like that. It's not the case. He goes and finds these spots, and he tracks these bucks, and it's a multi-year process. Those bucks that he's got sheds from when they were, spikes, basically. And for 5, 6, 7 years, he waits these bucks out and just figures out their pattern, and he figures out how to build these mock scrapes, and uses the right scents to bring these bucks in. And like, he puts a lot of effort into it, and he's one of the only dudes I know that does that. And he goes to he'll be in Eastern Washington, because Eastern Washington has some just tanks, when it comes to big whitetail buck, and those North Idaho ones, and some Western Montana bucks, but these are all public land bucks, and he's got them dialed, and it's amazing. You should have seen the buck. I don't know if you saw the buck he got this last year, but there is no more solid a whitetail mountain buck hunter that I know of outside of Troy Pottinger. Maybe my buddy John Gabriel. He's pretty damn good. Gabriel's got it down. But Troy, yeah, he's just an animal when it comes to these whitetail, man. It's cool watching him.
That's sweet, man. And I say it sure feels like a good time to be hunting whitetails. I know I'm putting in for my local whitetail tag again this year, because it's a great opportunity. Especially with all of the negativity that could be said about maybe the state of mule deer or whatever, depending on where you're at. Like, gosh, just chase some whitetails, man. Like, they're definitely not doing too bad.
There is no shortage of them, man. I mean, it is, and I'm a mule deer guy at heart. That's what I grew up doing, and I love mule deer hunting. And I always thought, especially when I got up to this part of Idaho, I'm like, well, I guess, you go hunt whitetail just like you hunt mule deer, kind of thing. Of course, this is before podcasts and YouTube and all that stuff. And boy, was I wrong. And once I got into whitetail hunting in the mountains, dude, there is nothing like it. It is totally different than what, like, my perception of it was, and what people told me it was. It is a freaking riot of a hunt. And like in Wyoming, you guys, you can go chase them in like those river bottoms, can't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had a friend of mine. He came from out of state last year, and we killed, what did we kill? 4 of them in 5 days, 4 whitetails in 5 days, because we had doe tags. Yeah. And one of them was a really nice buck, and we were just kind of spotting stalking in the river bottoms, just like you're talking about. Get kind of high, just a couple 5, 6, 7, 800 yards off of the river bottom. Yeah. And you're glassing, and you see them, and then you just drop off these little bluffs and drop into there and get them. It's freaking fun.
God, it is a riot, man. I had there was 3 like target bucks that I was after this last, and it was the late archery December, season here in Idaho. And the 3 that I was after, 2 of them specifically, I mean, these guys were just monsters. I think I posted them on my Instagram from my camera. And I almost got one of those 2. And then this 4th one showed up on like the second to last day, and he's the one I ended up getting. I'm happy with him, but he was not the caliber buck that those other 2 were. And so it was cool, man. It was total luck too. He just kind of popped out of the trees while I was walking up with my snowshoes on, and I was heading to the I had this I had a blind set up on this trail they were using, and he just popped up as I was heading up there. Only thing I've ever killed wearing snowshoes.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, well, cool. Yeah,
Anyway.
we could have done quite a bit of hunting, I think, this year in snowshoes across the West. We had so much snow hit the ground.
Yeah.
Pretty significant.
I was interested in, again, going back to the Rich Outdoors you were on there, I don't know, a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was interested in your take on the winter kill, the way you talked about that, and I'm kind of I don't exactly know how you put it because again it's been a couple weeks, but can you kind of describe your reaction to the winter kill in Wyoming that took place this year, and kind of give people an update as to what you think?
Yeah.
Give us a rundown, I guess.
I think it's really easy when we see things look bad from our human lens that we can say well, animals must have just gotten nuked. It was negative 40 degrees, right? Or you see a video on Instagram or whatever of a half dozen animals piled up under a tree, and you're like, yeah, they're all dead.
Yeah.
But I think when you look at the way that these critters make a living, they really only start to have a hard time making a living when it gets to negative 4 degrees. And even then, they can find little shelter pockets and stuff and not do too bad. So our cold weather doesn't necessarily by itself kill the deer. It's usually the high depths of snow and the inability to get down to the ground and luckily, if anyone's driven I-80, we sure get a lot of wind, and that wind actually keeps a lot of the snow off of some of these windswept ridges, and those animals can get down to there. Mm-hmm. So you'll talk to these the researchers in a lot of places around Wyoming this year, and animals could get to the feed. It was in pockets, and it was like little isolated, strips of ridge lines or whatever. But the deer that winter near Superior, Wyoming, which is part of this red desert to Hoback migration, they wintered with just about average mortality, something like 86% or something like that survival, compared to the go ahead.
The 86%, I just want to clarify, that's really good. That's not a terrible number. So anyway, yeah. Just in case somebody doesn't know how to put that into context, an 86% survival rate is actually fairly good.
Yeah, especially, exactly what you're talking about. You're looking year to year, even on a standard or even a light winter, you're going to lose 10 to 15% of your animals, just naturally. That's just the way of the world. So when you're running that same amount in a hard winter, that they had good feed and they were able to, make a living on these windswept ridges. And the places, though, that did get clobbered, right? Like Baggs country didn't have as much wind, and there was a pile of snow down there. The Wyoming range and kind of out by Evanston, that kind of three corners with Idaho and Utah, that stuff got clobbered. And there's, again, that lack of wind actually was something I've talked about with a handful of people who live in that country, and they noticed there wasn't much of it. And so it was just deep snow and kind of relentless winter. Last time they reported in that Wyoming range herd, they have a bunch of deer collared, but they have 200 in particular that are part of this focal herd deer study. And they're looking at 47% adult survival. And that's bad. That's pretty catastrophic, right?
Yeah.
But again, it's you gotta look at the whole picture if you're trying to make this grand statement about how the winter went. And 1 to 2, maybe 3 herds of 37 in Wyoming got clobbered.
Are those herds, are they in the the units where they're cutting back on tag sales this year?
No, that's kind of a different conversation in some ways, because a lot of managers and the public pushed hard for tag cuts this year, because there's a lot of places where the impact of that winter is just kind of in an unknown phase, right? Like Baggs in particular. There was not collared deer there. And so basically people are really like, oh man, like what if we just totally had the same situation as we had in the Wyoming range? We really need to be conservative.
Yeah.
And so there's a big push for that this year, just to be super conservative. So I think what, as a non-resident or resident or whatever, you see all these tag cuts, and a large part of that is just managers being super conservative without having much information. The cool thing is, like related to pronghorn, they're going to go out and do these flights this next month or two, and they'll be able to find out actually how many pronghorn are on the landscape after this winter. And obviously, they're not going to make a tag change for 2023, but it'll be really informational to see how things actually did this year versus what we kind of just expected that they did, or like, projected that they did without any real data or real information to back it up.
Do they do those aerial assessments or whatever down in Wyoming annually, or is that something that just by chance it's going on this year?
Yeah, it's annual that they do the assessments, and some years they'll just like sample a herd, and then it's on a rotating basis that they do what they call like a sitability, where they like actually spend a whole bunch of hours. So the biologists are spending a bunch of hours each year flying, but they're picking a focal herd to do it on each year.
Gotcha.
Because they couldn't do them all with the resources they have every single year. So it's like a sampling every year, and then they dive in deep every handful.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
No, that's great information. I just like learning that kind of stuff. So my own sheer curiosity, brother.
Well, I think it's important for us to pay attention to.
I think so too.
Right? Like,
I think so too. I mean, a lot of people, they're, the thing with being a true committed hunter is having this kind of knowledge so that we know when hunting really is conservation versus when hunting is not conservation. I think that knowing that and understanding that, like my buddy Chris Rowe out there in Kansas, their turkey numbers are way down, and like the state's not doing anything to adjust the number of tags that are available. So he made the decision on the land that he guides on and is runs like this outfitting service on, that they're not going to be doing any turkey hunts, or they're going to be limiting it to one client or something like that. It's majorly reduced, and I think that more hunters, more sportsmen, we need to have kind of that mindset where we're in the know. Like it's crazy to me that Chris is going through that, because I was telling you before we recorded, I haven't even been out turkey hunting yet. I took the girls out for a couple hours once. But does that mean I can't kill a turkey? No, man. I could drive from here to the closest gas station and fill both of my tags in 5 minutes by road hunting, right? Mm-hmm. But that's not how I like to turkey hunt. So it's not like we have a shortage of turkeys here, but that's not going to be the case everywhere. And so I don't know. I like the awareness that that's one thing I love about podcasts, man, is you get this broad awareness of all things in different states and different regions, different units, and just like a better and deeper understanding of, what the wildlife is doing and what they're not doing and how well they're doing. And it's good stuff.
Yeah, man. I like that stuff too. And that's why I like to listen to some of these other podcasts you're doing and other podcasts that are out there talking about these different conversations. Cause just like you're talking about, and this is something I'm kind of developing thoughts around, but basically there's like two types of hunting. There's hunting as a funding tool for wildlife management, and there's hunting as conservation. And like hunting as conservation would mean going out and shooting some cow elk where there are 1,000 elk over objective and are hard on the habitat, right?
Yep.
But hunting as a funding mechanism is going out and looking for a big bull or a big buck mule deer, whatever, right? And creating that experience, its own recreational value, and paying for that license.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's important that we decipher what our hunts are intended for before we ever go do them.
Yeah.
So you know what that it's all about.
Well, and I think that's a big part of the conversation. We were talking about spring bear. Having an awareness on your bear populations and where, there's a lot that goes into it, especially predator species, because I think there's a lot of misconceptions about what conservation results come out of predator hunting. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so many people talk about, Oh, I saved a bunch of fawns because I got my black bear. Is that why you went hunting? Is that really why you went bear hunting? Couldn't it be just the fact that you like to bear hunt and you went out and you notched a tag on a great bear and it's something to be proud of, and maybe you're saying that because the bear's smaller than what you wanted, but like people don't say that when they're coyote hunting. They're like, oh, I know it's a small coyote, but hey, I saved a fawn. Yeah, I don't think you did really, first of all, or maybe you did, but you're not like saving the deer population by killing a coyote, and you're not saving the elk fawns on some great scale by killing a bear. Just go out and enjoy the hunt. We have tons of bears. I'm speaking in my neck of the woods. We have plenty of bears, and that's why we can bait. That's why we can do all these things here in Idaho. Just go out and enjoy it. And if you're on a place like Montana, like just next door to me, shoot, they have tons of bears too. You just can't bait. You just go spot and stalk, and it's pretty dang easy to call them in over there from what a buddy of mine just told me. So what's going on with your bear hunt, man? You've been out spot and stalk, right? I didn't mean to cut that conversation. If you have anything to add to that part I just said, feel free.
No, that's precisely. I think a lot of time we try to. I don't know why we've gotten into that. Just kind of, it's almost like rhetoric, right? It's like if you post an animal that you've killed that's a predator, you're like, oh, I saved this thing, and I'm like, what? Bear hunting or lion hunting or coyote hunting has its value on its own. It doesn't have to be supporting ungulates.
Doesn't need to be a justification of saving something else.
No, it can just be fun. And, for the most part, like people are using the hides and doing stuff with them. They're eating the meat if it's bears and lions in particular, and it's like, it's got just as much value as the rest of this stuff. And it's been a big point of conversation in Wyoming lately because coming out from this winter, people kind of have this knee-jerk reaction like, we need to reopen our predator our predator quotas, and because we want to save these animals, save these wildlife. And I'm like, well, we're trying to save animals that have already died from the winter, so that's not going to be very effective. And if you look at like what the intended purpose of maybe reducing predator numbers of like increasing some fawn production or calf production or whatever the case is, it's just like a lot more dynamic than just if you increase the quota a couple on black bears. That's not going to have the intended effect that people are hoping for. So anyway, it's just really interesting. That's totally part of the conversation right now in Wyoming. But the other thing is like there's some pretty good scientists, in my opinion, doing good studies on like bear densities and lion densities. And now it's like pretty nascent. It's pretty early in the biology of like knowing how accurate it is or isn't. But, like getting a good idea of densities of animals, I think is probably as important as, and making actual informed decisions about what we're doing is probably as important as just saying nuke them all.
Yeah.
For
sure. What have you been seeing out bear hunting so far? Have you seen any bears or?
So around my house where I bear hunt, it's probably 5 to 7 days a year per bear when I'm spot and stalking. It takes a while to turn them up. And I kind of had this honey hole that the last 3 years in a row I've seen and or shot at bears in the same spot the first week of May. But I've been goose egged this year, so haven't seen a bear yet, and that's okay. It's kind of to be expected when you've got so many variables like a late winter and still snow and not much green up yet. So I'm kind of trying to be patient and keep my mind in the game of like, you just got to be up there glassing or else you'll never see one,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, man. I think the late winter does have a lot to do with it. I haven't hardly seen, the bears are just starting to move here, like really starting to move. And, and this is what I was telling you before we hit record there is, I don't even bother bear hunting until about May 15th, just because like in order to get into the country that I like to hunt bears, you have to wait for the passes to clear. And, they just haven't been. They're starting to get clear now. There's a few passes. I think I can get into my one bait site. I don't think I can get into my second bait site yet, but another week I should be able to. But yeah, I mean, I don't stress until about mid-May. In fact, I am just barely about to put in because I'm baiting. I will go up into a unit where there is no baiting. It's spot and stock. But there's still just too much snow up there, so probably won't do that right now. But I'm just about to put in my order for Batum 907 to get all the stuff here, and I'll set a barrel probably into next week, and hopefully by the week after that I can get to my second bait site.
I like that. So, do you guys, when you kill a bear, do you have to check them all in?
Yeah, you gotta check them in. You get what do they call that? You pull. I know you pull one of the
premolars, maybe.
Yeah, the premolar. But what was the other part of that? I can't remember if we have to take the hide in or not. Anyway, yeah, you do. It's pretty easy. Like here where I'm at, there's a gas station that you can actually take the premolar to, and you fill out some paperwork, and that's all you do. Like nobody actually comes out and checks. In fact, the lady when I went in last year, I had to do it twice last year, and she's like, she didn't even know what she was doing. She's like, I think you just give me this and give me a tooth, and we're good. I'm like, okay, here you go. And that's that. What do you guys have to do?
Well, when I killed bears in Oregon, it was like you take it to the game and fish office, and
the whole bear.
Mine was just hide and head, if I remember right. And it's been quite a while since I did that. But in Wyoming, it's a hands-on, bring in your bear head and hide to the game and fish office here, and they keep a running tally because we operate on female mortality limits. And so they basically check in each bear. And to this point, man, so I mean, we're recording just like what day is today? The 9th?
9th,
something
yeah.
like that.
Yep.
The season's been open for almost a month in some places. It opened April 15th.
Yeah,
in,
here too.
Some zones. And Wyoming has killed 8 bears across the state.
Wow. Yeah, that's low, man.
It's been those are, yeah. I told my buddy Joey, I was like, those are some April 20th numbers here. So
it's just a slow start. Yeah, we're like that too, man. I've got a couple of buddies that are posting up some, pretty good bears. But like, I don't, I like to wait till they start coming into season, that early June, mid-June, the big bears start showing up. And I'm lucky in the 2 units that I mostly hunt, and specifically I bait for them. The big guys don't show up till mid-June, and we have till the end of June. Now, most of the West, I know by like the 15th of June, bear season's done. Spring bear is done. We do have the advantage of that extra 2 weeks up here, and so maybe that's part of why I don't get too excited. But like my buddy Nate, he had a pretty good bear show up the other day on his site. But for the most part, it's still pretty quiet. And season opened here on the 15th too. I don't know how many bears Idaho's put down yet, but I know somebody got a pretty good one just across the border here in Montana from me. But yeah, it's coming. It's coming for sure.
Yeah, I've got a funny story, and I hope I don't care, I guess, if he listens, but I hope he does, because I'm throwing him under the bus. But my little brother, he's got a spring bear tag in Oregon, and he's chomping at the bit to get out. And obviously things are a little lower elevation. There's a little less snow on average where he's hunting in Eastern Oregon. And he was really chomping at the bit to get out there. And I was trying to e-scout with him, and I was excited for him to get out and go bear hunting. And he went up there and he drove through this creek that normally is a pretty easy, pickup drive through the creek, and you keep going up the canyon. And he drove up, and then he gets up a ways, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes later, and realizes, man, this next creek crossing is just a little too deep. I should probably turn around. And so by the time he turns around and goes back to the first creek crossing, the water has come up substantially.
Oh, no.
It's just now hitting that like warm part of the day, and that runoff is coming pretty good. And I think there was I'm piecing together the story here kind of secondhand, but I think he got a little nervous and gunned it. And when he gunned it, the water came up and over and got into his air intake and shut his diesel truck down in the middle of this pretty big creek.
Oh
So
man.
him and his wife are sitting there, and they're like, "Oh no!" It's like it's a pretty nice diesel pickup he's driving, and they crawl up out of the sunroof and sitting in the back of the pickup until her dad shows up with a recovery truck, and they pull that thing out. But
Oh, good.
yeah, it was a good lesson for him to learn, man. He was like,
Oh man.
it could happen to any of us, right? Trying to push it, getting into these spring bearing
Totally.
spots, But yeah, he said he's still waiting on some parts to make sure he does it right and gets all the water out. And he had to air out his cab because there was water in the cab. And
Oh
it was
man.
a bad deal. But
Yeah.
anyway, hopefully that'll be a good lesson for somebody else. Don't push it.
Yeah, don't push it. Don't push it. That ended well for your brother, but man, that it could get dangerous fast when those. It's amazing the difference the creek levels can be from morning to just like literally a few hours later. And it can it could be really dangerous. So I'm glad he got it out of there. But what kind of truck was it?
Oh, it was like shit. He's gonna be mad at me for not remembering. It's a nice full size pickup. I mean, it's
probably a Dodge, and that's why it got stuck. But
I actually think it is.
I've been making fun of Dodges on this show for going on 4 years.
It totally is. Yep, it's a Ram. It's a Cummins.
Yeah. I figured. If he'd had a power stroke, that river would have damned itself in fear and let him cross.
I'll tell him you said that. You're gonna kick out of it.
Do it, man. Well, shoot. Tell me a little bit about Wyoming Wildlife Federation. What they're doing with this Commissioner Tag raffle that's coming up, and let's kind of walk through that a little bit.
Yeah. So in Wyoming, just in case folks don't know the backstory here, each commissioner that helps make seasons and directs the department what to do, each commissioner gets 7 tags to give away to nonprofits in the state. And then those nonprofits can use those tags to make money for their mission. And we received a commissioner's tag from a new commissioner this year named Rusty Bell. He's out of Gillette. And he wanted to support some of our habitat work. So we're doing habitat improvements this year with some of the, with the funds we make off of our commissioner's tag. And the commissioner's tag itself, when the holder has it, they get to choose any single deer or elk or pronghorn hunt in the state and go on that hunt next year. So it's about the only way you can skip the line and the draws and go on these like really coveted hunts, like the red desert elk hunts, late buck hunts, that kind of thing.
So that would be for season 2024?
2023.
This year. Okay, cool. Yeah. Sweet.
So, I mean, it's stuff like the Du Bois buck hunt is really popular for commissioner's tag hunters. I went on 2 different guys' commissioner's tag hunts in the Ferris Mountains last year for elk. God, that was a blast. And both of them killed bulls in back-to-back days, and it was a hoot. So, this is a really good opportunity. And the Wyoming Wildlife Federation uses that, like I said, just straight into our habitat projects and our habitat programs. So we're trying to, remove fences where they're obsolete or not wildlife friendly so they can get across the ground easier, or put in some water improvements and stuff like that. So, I'm pretty excited. I like this stuff too, because I usually get to follow along on the hunt that the person wins. So I get to live vicariously through them on these like really awesome hunts.
Can you because you work for WWF, can you buy these raffle tickets?
I buy them from other organizations. I can't buy them from WWF. Yeah.
That there is a mule deer. Like, you guys listening, if you jump on wyomingwildlife.org/dream-big, it pulls up the Dream Big Commissioner Tag raffle. They're $50. That mule deer is ludicrous, man. I would have a tough time if I won that. I don't know if I'd pick mule deer or elk. I don't think I'd do pronghorn, but
I'll have to add some more photos too, because from that commissioner's tag hunt, I haven't added those photos this year with the elk. But man, I think personally, like the winter missed some of those good late rut hunts in Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it'd be a good year to go after deer, and that being the sleeper. I think a lot of guys are probably going to go for elk, and they always have. I think all of them that we've raffled or that I've been around that we've raffled have all gone with elk, actually. But that's just the money species, it seems.
Yeah, I think I would too. Like, I'm just thinking because I'm buying some of these tickets. Is there a limit how many you can buy?
No.
So I'm going to buy. I don't have a ton of money, but I'll buy like 2 or 3 of them at least. Because I'd be super curious. Well, I'd probably pick elk, but that buck, I don't know what it would score, but that buck that's on there, I will never have an opportunity like that, like just locally. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If I remember right, that one scores like 193 or something.
That's kind of about what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some real dang good deer that come out of there. And that's that DuBois Lake Hunt. I was just looking at it, and I don't mean to blow up this DuBois Lake Hunt because it's kind of, the cat's kind of out of the bag, right? It's like the Henrys and the Ponds, so like in Utah or something, right? But this I was looking at the drawing odds for a non-resident, and they were 1 in 900 if you entered the tag draw and don't have maximum preference points. Wow. And so your odds are just as good with this Commissioners Tag raffle as they are with putting in the normal draw. Yeah, they're better actually.
Yeah, probably better, and your money's going to support conservation efforts and whatever, and I just think that's a really cool way to go. I was like vaguely aware of this whole program you guys do, but just knowing it now, like any of you guys listening, whether you're in Wyoming or one of the other western states, or hell, I don't care if you're in Pennsylvania, this would be a great tag to draw for a great cause. I'm a big fan of the wildlife federations across the country. I think it's a group that does a lot of good things for us as outdoorsmen, stewards of the lands, sportsmen, just in general. So it's a great place to put your money.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. Last year we had a guy win this tag who went on his first elk hunt ever, and he was from Florida. So yeah, and he got a great bull. So it's definitely, especially for guys who feel like they're behind in the tag application games, it's a good way to get another chance in there. Like I said, I play the game too, man. I
totally will.
I bought some Bow Hunters of Wyoming tickets and some American Bear Foundation tickets this year because I'm kind of addicted to playing these games myself.
I know, man. I'm just not that lucky. Like, I should put my wife in. She always wins stuff. We went to the Mule Deer Foundation banquet a few weeks ago, and dude, she cleaned house, and I never win. I like rarely win that kind of stuff, but I feel like it's because just like the karma is building up, and I'm going to win one of these these commissioner tags, because I want to read real quick just off the website here, because obviously, listeners, we're trying to promote this, right? So that's why we're having part of this discussion here. So it says, what are my odds and what prizes could I win? It says each ticket holds a chance of winning a prize with a maximum of 1,000 tickets sold. The prizes are commissioner license, which again you can pick pronghorn, deer, elk. That's a license. First light kit, wick hoodie. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that.
We call that one the unpronounceable jacket.
Yeah, what the hell is that? Uncompahgre?
Yeah, it's like the Uncompahgre Plateau that's down in Colorado.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but the Uncompahgre jacket, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so not super smart here. And some guide pants. And then there is the Argali Outdoors Field Kit. What is that? That's
a knife and I should really write that full thing out. It's a knife from Argali, and it's their game bags. So you've got like the whole kill kit put together for you.
Sweet.
And that's like a couple $100 kit right there.
And then the lacrosse footwear gift cards.
Yeah, I think I've got 2 or 3 of those I'm going to give out. I actually was luckily part of this kind of boot development project with lacrosse, and we made a kind of mid-season mountain boot with those guys. So I've got some gift cards for those. They're called the Ursa. So we've got some Ursa gift cards for people to use with lacrosse as well.
And then it says there will be an official drawing of the winners for all 3 prizes on July 1st, 2023 via Instagram Live at 12 p.m. noon Mountain Time. And if all tickets sell out before them, an alternate date will be chosen. So do you have to be present for that Instagram Live?
No, totally not. Not at all. It's fun if you are. And you're watching,
I see.
But
a personal phone call or email will be made to all the winners. Okay.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep. It's fun if you can pay attention and watch with us, because usually we call the winner during the live deal and see if they pick up for us or with us. And if they do, that's kind of fun. Usually people lose their noggins, because
I would.
It's really sweet tag. So.
I'd be stoked, man. That'd be badass. So if I win, are you going to go with me?
Oh yeah, dude. You name the hunt, I'll be there.
Okay.
As long as it doesn't conflict with my sheep tag this year.
No, don't worry about your sheep tag. Just tag along with me.
Yeah, that's right.
Did you draw one?
I actually did. I kind of said that tongue in cheek, but we have got a new tag.
Really?
Yeah.
Congrats, man. That's
Thanks.
awesome.
Yeah. My significant other, Jess Johnson, she also got it. And so it's like 7% draw odds on these sheep tags.
Mm-hmm.
And we each got one. So I don't know what the odds of that are. Somebody told me it was 0.5%, but so yeah, we've got some of that coming up. But that's what I was saying. If it's outside of that, I'll go with you on this commissioner's tag.
That's awesome. Is there anything else you want people to know about the commissioner tag, the raffle, the process, what it helps, anything like that, or did we cover it all?
We did a good job, I think, covering it, but I did want to make one final plug though for these habitat projects.
Okay.
It's on the homepage. If you want to get involved in habitat projects, let's say you live in Salt Lake City or you live in Eastern Idaho or Northern Colorado or whatever, someplace that's relatively close. We've got a whole host of habitat projects that we're looking for volunteers to help us execute on. A big one is like the Bags Migration Corridor fence modification. That's the end of June this year. And it's in the middle of nowhere. So we're going to have people camp out, and it's year 2 of a probably 5 or 6 year project to modify and remove 17 miles of fence in that mule deer corridor. So that's a fun project coming up, and there's a whole bunch of others if anybody wants to try to get involved in some of these things and they don't win their commissioner's tag.
Yeah. So you guys are just going to be down there removing how many miles of fence?
So we've got 17 total that we need to remove. So it's all this old sheep fence, this woven wire sheep fence that is no longer being used for sheep grazing. It's all, if there's any grazing in that area, it's all just cattle.
Yeah.
And that sheep fence, man, pronghorn can't crawl under it. And it's really easy to get tangled up in if you're a mule deer or an elk even.
That's that stuff that's like the bigger mesh kind of fence.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I've put up miles of that when I was a kid. So
and now we're tearing it all down.
Yeah. Well, it was in Utah, not Wyoming. But I wonder. I'm curious now if that stuff's still there. But anyway, no, that's good, man. That's a great project. I know the pronghorn have a tough time getting under a fence, and especially that kind of stuff. So that's definitely of value for sure. And in the meantime, you're going to be getting a bear, right?
Yeah, man, that's next on the list. I will say I've got a good friend of mine who's going to come out, and we're going to do a backpack hunt at the end of the month. So I'm excited for that, just to get out and stretch my legs, and hopefully glass up some bears in, what we were talking about earlier. We've heard from multiple people that there's just an excess of bears in this one part of the state. So we're going to go backpack in there and see if we can't turn one up. Go where there's a bunch of them. Maybe, hopefully, my one bear per 5 days of glassing is shortened down because it's only a 3-day trip.
Nice, man. So, and you'll be rifle hunting, right?
Yeah, we rifle hunt. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go back and forth depending on the bait site. And obviously, if I'm spot and stocking up north, That's going to be a rifle hunt. And I'm waiting. I'm hoping to have my suppressor. We linked up with Silencer Central. And so I'm getting a suppressor put on the 6.5 Creedmoor Savage, and pretty excited about it because apparently, like you make a long shot, and let's say it doesn't go right where you want it to go. With the suppressor, it's just gonna like make it so the bear isn't gonna know exactly where it came from, right? And so you'll have a much higher chance of getting a second shot off. So that's why I'm excited. I've never used one before, so I'm kind of learning, but it's going to be pretty exciting because when I'm on the bait barrels, I'm probably going to go. I'll probably be up there with a bow. I don't know. Going to be a good time.
That's great, man.
Yeah,
I witnessed it in person last year. A buddy of mine shot a mule deer buck that I was sitting with. And he shot and missed his first shot, and those deer kind of just like walked a little bit and were just looking around. You know, it was cool. They didn't know where the sound came from, and then he shot and dropped him. So what Silencer Central can did you get?
I don't know yet. Let me pull this back up because I don't have the different ones memorized here. They have. I've got their new Banish backcountry coming, actually, as you're talking about this. Okay, so that's, I think, the one I'm getting is the Banish. Man, how do I get rid of this pop-up? Dude, I am a monkey on my computer. I cannot figure out. There we go. You got the backcountry?
Yeah, I just got it, or I ordered it as soon as it came out back in November. And I'm hearing from folks that they're getting cans right now that were ordered in late September, early October. So I'm probably a month out. I think I'm pretty excited. I'm real excited.
Okay. So the Banish backcountry is the one I'm getting to.
Nice.
Yeah. So let's see. I could be wrong. See, this is why, like, the guys at Eastman's just take care of that stuff for me because I don't know shit about. There we go. Yeah. Pretty sure it's a Banish backcountry. Sweet. So you'll get yours. Are you going to send your rifle to Silencer Central to have them install it, or you just got somebody locally?
I'll have someone help me out locally. I've already got it threaded. And I'll just make sure it's timed.
Should be good. Yeah. Cool.
I don't know if you have to time it like you do. I'm going to take it to somebody to make sure I don't screw it up because that'd be a big screw up. I'll probably, mine's threaded too, so I'm going to take it in too, just to be sure. Again, I don't know, dude. You're talking to a guy that has been for most of my life. If I'm rifle hunting, it's with Grandpa's 30-30 kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not a big rifle guy, so I'm learning this whole thing. But I'm really excited about this because I want to also get the Banish 223. I think is the one that you put on the AR-15. For coyote hunting. And I think it's important to point out though, like it's not a silencer doesn't make your rifle silent, right? It doesn't make it so the game doesn't hear it. It just disorients the sound so they don't know where it's coming from. And obviously it does reduce the sound. Mm-hmm. And reduces recoil, which is nice, right?
Big time. Yeah. So I want one for my daughter's rifle too. So anyway, yeah, no, that's cool, man. I didn't know you were getting one. I'm pretty excited about this. I don't know much about them, and so it's like this new adventure kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, I'm super excited too. It's I continually, so I've got a break on the end of my 300, and I continually forget or just get rushed and don't put in my hearing protection. Mm-hmm. Like I shot my bear last year without hearing pro in, and my deer last year without hearing pro in, and it can't be good. It just can't be good for you.
It's not, man. Let me tell you, I was in for almost 5 years, the Marine Corps infantry. And have you seen those ads pop up on like social media where they're like, oh, there's some lawsuit for your hearing if you wore the 3M earplugs or whatever. That's bullshit. Like we didn't put those plugs in our ears. We didn't put anything in our ears. Whether we were on the range or we were in Iraq, we never wore hearing protection. And I'm paying for it now, man. I have to get hearing aids. In fact, I have a disability. They gave me a rating So like, whatever, I'm going to go get these hearing aids because I took my daughters out last year when in September, and they're like, Dad, there's an elk bugling back. Didn't you hear that? Didn't you hear that? I'm like, they're not an elk bugling back. And no, they were right. There was an elk that answered me, and I just couldn't hear it. And it's certain pitches. And so definitely, the hearing protection, if you are in a situation, you're rifle hunting, that bear all of a sudden pops in, gives you a good shot, like, you're not going to take the time to put hearing protection in. Take that bear down. And if you have the suppressor, it's not going to be like this freaking thunder going off in your ears and you're going to be ringing for a week. And like I have, and I've heard people talk about it in two different ways, tinnitus or tinnitus. However you pronounce it, it sucks. I have it bad. And so, yeah, cool, man. I'm excited for you.
Thanks. And you too. I'm stoked to, hopefully we have a good can coming our way. Yeah. I'm excited just for like just being able to, like you said, hear a little better for the long term.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
I might have to get another rifle to, like a 6.5 Creedmoor or something like 308 or something that's like super short barreled, because I think even with these more Magnum rounds, running a 24-inch or 22-inch barrel plus the 6-inch can on the end is a pretty long gun you're packing. So
yeah, it would be, but yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a terrible thing. If I had the money, I'd put one on my 300 Win Mag for sure, because I love my 300, and it's done very, very well for me. But again, I don't know. I'd say 70-80% of the hunting I do is with a bow. So I don't know if I could justify spending the money on a second rifle, but we'll see what the wife says.
I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just bought new archery bullets, so I hear you. It all gets expensive when you try to be good at it all. I don't know that's possible without being inherently wealthy.
It adds up, dude. We need to listen to Cody's podcast a little bit more and become, have a little more spending cash. I got Cody coming on this week, by the way. He's coming on for School of September. Yeah.
Oh, that's great, man. Yeah, he's a wealth of knowledge. Him and I, in my side gig, are doing a webinar next week as well. And
are you?
That dude is just, like you said, wealth of knowledge on elk stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited. I've been listening to his elk, Wapiti Wednesdays and stuff for a long, long, long time. So I'm really excited to get him on for School of September. I think he's going to be like the perfect added, I call them professors on the School of September. He's going to be a perfect addition to that lineup. So, well, brother, I think I promised you to keep it under an hour. We're right about there. So, I just want to reiterate real quick for I keep wanting to say Silencer Central. Let me go back to the Commissioners Raffle Tag. Dream Big Commissioner Tag Raffle. Guys listening, you can jump on wyomingwildlife.org and hit that. Is it live now, that the tag, or I'm sorry, the tab to open up this page?
It'll be on the home. By the time people are listening to this, it'll be on the homepage on the front slideshow. So just look for it on the front slideshow on the homepage, and that'll be the easiest way to get to it.
Okay, so I'm gonna link this in the show notes, guys, and jump on there if you're interested. Again, they're $50 for a commissioner tag. It doesn't matter what state you live in, but it's a hell of a tag to have for if you just buy one entry and you win this, that's the lottery. I mean, it's a great tag. So, and check out the Wyoming Wildlife Federation, and also check out whatever wildlife federation is in your own home state. Idaho Wildlife Federation, again, just whatever home state you're in, check them out. It's a good organization. They do a lot of good things, especially Idaho and Wyoming's. Had to throw that
boy. Yeah. Well, I sure appreciate you having us on again and talking Wyoming Wildlife Federation and our Commissioners Tag and everything. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to get a hold of me about any of this stuff, whether it's habitat and water improvements, the tag, WWF work, or even just putting in for their applications for Wyoming this year. We got deer and elk still coming up, so or deer and antelope for non-residents, deer, elk, and antelope for residents. So I'm excited.
That's right. Yeah, you guys are already done with the elk, right? Idaho.
Non-residents are done. Yeah, non-residents are done for the elk.
Yep.
But,
and I did not have enough points to put in. I think we talked about it last time you were on the show. I didn't have enough points to put in for Wyoming for elk this year, but I will next year. I think. So I might have to pick your brain on that one. But Idaho folks, residents, and I believe non-residents as well. I'm not totally sure how this works, but the special draws or application period is right now for Idaho. So if you guys have a unit, you're trying to limited entry unit, you're interested in, you got to get that put in by I think June 1, somewhere around there. Don't quote me on that, but during May, do it during May, and you're safe. So. Brother man.
That's awesome.
Thanks again for joining me. Stick on the line for just a minute.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You made it. That's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure you're following us on Instagram at The Western Huntsman and write us a good review at Apple Podcasts. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Stay Western, and I'll see you on the mountain.